Hi everyone, and welcome to the first lesson in this course. This is just a quick lesson with some information about how to install R and RStudio on your computer. Now, if you already have R and RStudio on your computer, there's also a section where I'm going to talk about how to make sure that you are up to date with the latest version of R and RStudio, just to make sure there's no incompatibility issues between this course and what you are doing on your computer. So with that, let's move on. All right, so you may be totally new to R and wondering, maybe you've heard of R and you've heard of RStudio, but what exactly are they? So R is a programming language, and I'm sure by now you know, since you're taking this course, that R is offers a lot of really amazing tools and packages for analyzing and visualizing data. Now, R is the programming language itself, an interpreter that can read and execute your code. And RStudio is an IDE, or an integrated development environment. Essentially, it's a point-and-click dashboard of tools where you can type the R code, view your figures, data, organize your projects. And R comes with its own IDE, but it's quite primitive and very basic compared to what RStudio can offer. So while you could technically do everything in R with its default IDE, for efficiency and a lot more power and ability to organize projects and visualize things, and it's just a much easier environment, I highly recommend RStudio, and that's what I'm going to be using in this course. If you're on a Mac, the way to install R and RStudio begins with downloading the right files. So go to cran.rstudio.com to find the latest version of R there and just download it. Same thing for RStudio. Go to rstudio.com/product/rstudio/download. And if you're on a Mac, you'll also want to download Xquartz, which is helpful for some packages to function correctly, but I don't think it's actually necessary for any of the content in this course. It's just something for good measure. You might want to download and install that as well. Now, for the actual installation process, the only important thing to know for Macs and for PCs, for Windows, is install R first. Don't install RStudio and then R. It can lead to errors. Maybe they fixed that problem now. I don't know, but this is the habit that I've always gotten into, and I recommend this. So install R first, and you just open the file you downloaded and run it, and the installation process will proceed automatically. Same thing with the RStudio file you downloaded, and same thing with the Xquartz file that you downloaded. Just run those installation files and everything should install properly. Now, if you're updating on a Mac, so let's say you've been using R and RStudio for a while and you want to check to see what version you're using to see if you need to update. For RStudio, once it's open, go to Help, then check for updates, and then you'll see what current version you're working with. And then when you go to the RStudio website, and this should say quit. So then quit RStudio and go to the RStudio website to download and install whatever version is more recent than the current one that you have. And basically the same thing happens in R. So when you open R the first time, you'll see the right at the top of the console, you'll see the latest version that you're using. If you don't, you can also type in session info with 2 parentheses like that into the R console, and you'll see what the version is. And again, you can then go to cran.r-project.org/bin/macOSX to download and install the latest version of R in that way. Then for installing on Windows, it's very similar to Mac. Go to these websites to download the latest version of R and the latest version of RStudio, and then simply proceed to install those files. Again, making sure to install R first and then install RStudio. And just open the file, follow the directions for installation, and that's all you have to do. And with updating on Windows, it's the same thing. To check your current version of RStudio, go to Help and then check for updates to see if there's anything available that's more recent. And then you can quit RStudio and go to the RStudio website to download and install the latest version. For updating on Windows, so if you already have R and RStudio installed, to see the latest version of R, you can type session info in the R console, or just when the first time you open RStudio at any point, at the very top of the R console, you'll see the latest version of R, and then similarly, you can go to this link and download and install the latest version if your version is not the latest version. And then I think in Windows, you also have to remove the old version. I'm not sure if you actually have to. I don't use a Windows, but I came across this tutorial at this link here that shows you how to uninstall older versions of R, so you can do that there. All right, so the current versions of R and RStudio that I'm using in this course for teaching this course are R version 4.0.2 and RStudio version 1.3.959. I don't think it will make a big difference if you're not quite on the exact same version as me. RStudio and R recently made some fairly bigger upgrades, especially R when it moved from the version 3 to version 4. I don't think there will be any incompatibility issues with the course, but just to be safe, you might want to make sure to run those updates and be as up to date as you can be. Great. Okay, so that's it. In the next lesson, we'll get right into beginning to use R and RStudio. All right, thanks a lot. See you there.